All right, so ToneX One has come out. Everyone's getting them now. They're shipping. I saw one guy bought 4 of them. 4 of them.
That seems like the right move.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I mean, why not? You know,
More is
it's
more.
still cheaper than a Big Sky MX. You know, if you buy 4 of them.
It really is.
But
Wow.
hey, no shade on them. That sounds like a great pedal.
You could
Like,
have
we want to
12
try them out.
amps at your feet.
And no verbs.
Yeah.
But
There's a
Dry.
lot of gear that's cheaper than a.
Is
that's-
anyone going to beat this? Is anyone? This is $179 on a platform that you can capture your own stuff for free. I could capture stuff. You could capture stuff. All you need is a computer and to manage the ins and outs yourself, which means anyone with an interface can basically do
Well, you
it.
can't capture stuff for free.
Your own stuff.
Oh, so I see what you're saying. Well, for the $179 you can. Because it comes with a version of ToneX. So I know what you're saying. So yeah, I mean, you can't just get the software.
never mind, sorry.
But you buy the $179 pedal, and you can capture your stuff. You buy the $399 pedal, you get Max and everything.
Right. Okay.
But you can make your own. You don't need to buy another capture unit. You don't need to buy anything else.
Right.
You just, hopefully, you might already have the ability to go send an out from your computer and take something back in. Right. A lot of people have interfaces. If you don't, you'd have to buy one of those. But probably you do. You know, if you're like miking
Because
your
like
amp.
even if and the Kemper player is very small
Yes.
already, but even if they came out with a comparable unit,
Yeah.
it doesn't make captures, and they don't have a software standalone software unit that will.
Correct. You need a stage or a profiler, you know,
right.
the big one to
Right.
to make stuff. So at $179, they've got this big ecosystem of free stuff. They've got all sorts of free stuff online. There's all sorts of people making stuff. It says Capture Tech, $179 for this pedal. Does anyone beat this ever? Now, of course, more will come along. Of course,
Hotone.
X Vive. Is it Hot Tone?
Hot one. I don't know. Who knows?
Hotone?
Nobody knows.
Yeah.
I don't even think they
We've
know.
done this before.
If
We should ask next year at NAMM. That's the only question I have next year at
Yeah,
NAMM.
you say your name.
You say,
say it.
Say it now
Say
so we
it.
can hear you. Just say your name. He'll be like, my name is Jai Lee.
Yeah. You say your name, HW.
Yeah.
Okay, is anyone going to beat this? And can anyone? Now, the Moore preamp thing, I don't remember what those cost. Moore obviously already had a bunch of preamp pedals, but they have that Moore preamp modeler, but not in this small little thing. They have other things that are this small, but
Yeah.
they're with knobs and stuff.
Was that Capture Tech? The more?
The more preamp one, but not the little pedals. The little pedals were just models of they were just digital amps or whatever. In a
Yeah, I
box.
mean, it's kind of interesting. It's like the Quad Cortex and the Kemper, they both are bound to the same problem, which is you have to have the unit to do the captures,
Sure.
right?
And even if you needed to have something else, is anyone going to hit a $179 price point?
Right.
Well, maybe line. I mean,
So we did talk about the
but
Amp
not with.
One,
But
right?
then Line 6, are they working on Capture Tech?
well, this is another question.
And is Capture Tech part of it? Right? Like we're saying, are someone going to beat? Is someone going
Yeah,
to beat
I'm saying
ToneX?
Capture Tech, capture your amp and
Right.
reproduce it accurately. I mean,
Right.
even the 179 modelers, I don't think are at the level of tone. Like,
No.
What's a 179 modeler? How much is the Helix? I mean, I guess you can say if you got that Pod, whatever. What is it?
Pod Go.
Is
No.
it not the
Express.
Pod Go? The Pod
Yeah.
Express.
Yeah.
Well, what's
We already forgot about that.
We already forgot about
what's
that.
the HX1? Isn't that like a
I was
going
going to say we talked about the Amp One.
But there's no
version.
amps in there.
Oh, there's no amps.
There's no amps in
Yeah.
there.
Oh, it's just effects.
We speculated
Yeah,
that they
remember we
could.
talked about the other
Yeah,
one.
we speculated they could make and we thought it would sell well, just a pedal.
That's actually
with
hold on.
just
Did
the
we
amps
talk
in
about
it.
how shocking it is that there is no amps in there?
I believe we did a whole episode.
Yeah.
I believe we did a whole episode.
Did I?
Yeah, trying to figure out why
Gosh,
is
I'm-
Line 6 not obviously giving the product that people would like. Like, there's already these other things out there. I think now at this point it's probably good that they didn't. They instead gave us a 179, Pod Express. It just sounds like something you order from China. Pod Express, like it's from AliExpress.
Or you might travel in it. Like,
Yeah,
this is my
Pod
Pod
Express.
Express.
Or it's I don't know. To me, it sounded like Chinese food. I don't know.
Yeah, you're thinking of Panda Express.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone beats this ever. Like I think they've just cemented themselves as we're down here at the lowest entry point possible for anyone to get into our ecosystem. Come into our ecosystem. The water's fine. Everyone come in. And it feels like, from a business standpoint, they're making, I mean, the bar to get in is so low that it really sort of undermines a lot of the tribalism that sort of has been existing, because it's like, which $15 or $16.99 pedal are you going to buy? Right. It's like, is it going to be Kemper? Is it going to be Quad Cortex? Is it going to be Helix? And they came all the way down here. Now, of course, the functionality is not the same, but it's like any of those people can buy this $179 device and try it, use it, pair it with some pedals. It just seems like it's going to be everyone's option now.
So we have speculated previously about Neural DSP making something small.
Well, soon, John. Photo here.
Soon.
That's all they said. We're not sure what it means.
Soon.
Maybe they come out with something, but then again, they're bound. And that's what I was saying before. Like the Kemper player, if they made a smaller, cheaper version of that, or if Neural DSP made a smaller version of something of the Quad Cortex that just plays stuff, it doesn't make stuff, they have to figure out a way for people to make stuff for their
or
on their
even
own. To do the capturing,
even if there's a small QC coming out that's more like an HX Stomp. Like, what if it's just half powered QC? What if it's just a half of a QC and it gives you 4 blocks, or it gives you 5 blocks? They just cut their chipset. It's the duo core, or it's the,
instead of having
the double cortex,
it has 2 of them.
Instead of the quad, it's the duo cortex. And you can just, it's their algorithms, their stuff, but you just choose what you're going to be running on it, what you're going to have on it, same marketplace, same everything, kind of like ToneX did. Here's a smaller version, same software, works with the app, works with this. You plug it in, you sync it, there you go. You put that stuff on the device, or you.
Right.
I feel like we should categorize some of this conversation to, like, when you say you can't beat it for $179, we're really talking about a similar product without effects. Like, the Kemper player is not in the same category. The HX Stomp is not in the same category.
Yeah, and I just mean, I don't think anyone's going to get down to this $179 price point with capture tech available, whether it has other stuff or not.
Yeah.
And I think the reason for that is because they started with the capture tech in software.
Yeah, and when you said that about, you're like, yeah, Kemper won't do that. Well, what if they did? Like, what if they did go into the software thing?
They totally could, except that in talking to Christoph, I know that part of the magic about how the Kemper works is the chips that they're using inside the machine.
Yeah.
And so your MacBook Pro doesn't have those chips.
Right.
They would have to completely re-architect.
Redo it.
They would have to build capture tech from scratch.
That doesn't use the hardware.
That's using standard software.
There's a whole bunch of threads online of people talking about the Motorola chips that are in the Kemper. There was a lot of debate years ago about whether they were still made or not. They're not made, I don't think now, but I don't know if Kemper just has a million of them, and or they know where to get them, or if they actually can get them. That's something I saw someone suggest, that they were basically like, these things might not be in production, but they can be manufactured maybe per order or something, And so, I don't know. I mean, yes. I mean, look, Kemper didn't try to hit the $179 price point. They hit a price point that I think made sense. They also gave us basically a full mini Kemper. I mean, because also in our talks with Christoph, if you go back to those podcasts, we're talking about it. He talks about, I couldn't give you a full mini Kemper at the $699, or whatever, the $599. And so, but the unit can kind of do that. I mean, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like there's not really a lack of DSP in the unit. I mean, there's less blocks, but you've got everything in there. Yeah. So it's almost more like they also made their version of a mini version, like an HX Stomp. Here's something that is less of it, but it runs all our stuff. Yeah. Quad Cortex, maybe they'll do the same thing. But I don't even see anyone really. I don't think anyone's even going to be reaching down here. I think these guys are a little unique in the sense that ToneX has decided we're just going to do this capture and so that we fit this niche of I'm right on the pedal board. I don't really do anything else. It gives them the option to do whatever else they want in the future. We were talking about Strymon not doing an all-in-one. It seems obvious to me that ToneX will do an all-in-one, unless they don't. You know, like unless they don't.
Those are the options. Yeah.
Those are the options.
Either they will or maybe they won't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but you know what I'm saying? It's like it seems so obvious unless they've already decided, yeah, we don't want to do that. We don't want to go the same route everyone else is going. We actually want to be different on purpose.
They would have to merge all of the Amplitude stuff and all of that into one, because they don't have the ToneX platform doesn't have effects or anything like that.
Yeah.
That's all in Amplitude. So
Yeah,
IK Multimedia would have to consolidate a bunch of products
all of
onto one thing, which is, I mean, look, that's the beauty of, having a company that builds lots of different kinds of things is that you can start to mix and match them in different ways.
We combine them?
Yeah. What if we did?
Or we just get some abbreviated version.
Right.
Maybe we just go, hey, here's an abbreviated version. This is not Amplitude.
Yeah.
It doesn't run those presets. It doesn't run, because that's, I think, the rub that they're going to be up against is if the people doing ToneX go, we want to make an all-in-one. The next question is going to be, so it's going to run all the Amplitude stuff, so I can put my Amplitude.
Right.
Well, then at that point, is it an Amplitude project?
Right.
Because why wouldn't Amplitude just make all their stuff themselves and then it can run ToneX? Because Amplitude runs ToneX in the software. And they've had that going forever. There's got to be a whole team of engineers.
Right. So it probably would be an Amplitude thing then. It would be like an Amplitude in real life.
Yeah. Which I don't know if they've had that. I don't even know if they want that. They might just say you can run it off an iPad, which I think
that's
you can
what
do.
I'm saying. IK Multimedia from the beginning was like software only.
Yes.
Right? This whole breakout into hardware. And we said this from the very beginning. They're coming at this from the complete opposite angle. And so I think it was honestly, because they've already built the software, they already have it. All they had to do was figure out how to get the pedal small. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
All they had to figure out how to do is get these things to run on.
What do you think they're manufacturing that pedal for? Do you think this is them? Do you think they're just getting people in the door? Like it's a razor thin margin. They're really hitting, because they could have done it at $199. They could have done it at $199, and that's 12% or whatever more than they're selling it for now.
Yeah, I can't imagine the margins are huge.
But it gets people in.
But again, what is the cost, though? What's the major cost? The major cost was developing the software, which they've already done.
I mean, I don't know how much it costs to manufacture that little pedal.
I mean, those cases are really cheap, especially if you buy a lot of them all at once. Right. The chips are, once you design them and you just, I don't know, they're not really that difficult to manufacture, I would think, but. Yeah, the main cost is the software itself. That's
right. And what do you think Guitar Center buys them for?
Yeah,
it can't be more than $129. It's probably less, probably $119.
You think Guitar Center buys them for $100?
Maybe
sells them for $179.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of retail places need to keystone a product to cover their expenses and stuff, and so or a little less. So they might be doubling it, but they might be buying 100, 110.
They might be. If they keep putting out packs and, they keep putting out these like ToneX packs of like reference amps.
I know. Yeah.
They might just be wanting to get market share.
Just getting people to do that.
Right. And so let's operate on the thinnest margin we can manage.
Maybe kind of like how QC has stayed very consistent with releasing these plugins.
Yeah.
And now we're getting plugin support for the unit. And
right.
To me, that would mean you're going to sell a lot more plugins. People are going to want to expand this unit.
100%. I mean, people are already, it's very common. I mean, I have at least 3, maybe I have 3 or 4 Neural DSP plugins. And so it's like, they're really nice to use. And so they gathered a lot of market share that way.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so they're selling a lot of plugins for sure.
They're coming at it from the other angle.
And they made it so difficult for like people to fill these Quad Cortex orders, and yet they still are happening and come in. People have the units and want more out of it.
Yeah. Well, that's a cool unit.
Yeah. They're going to sell so many plugins. I'm not sure if they realize that. I think they realize it, QC. I think they realize it, but it's taken so long to get this plugin support. I hope that what happens is they get the plugin support and all of a sudden there's a flood of buying these things, and then they realize, oh, we should, people want to spend money on this unit. Because I'm over here just looking at what we sell, and we don't even make a ton of Quad Cortex videos and stuff advertising it, because it's very difficult to fill the orders. It's time consuming. I've on purpose made them kind of higher priced than some of the other stuff, because I have to go fill it manually, and still people are buying it. People are buying this stuff. So people want more.
No, they're going to sell.
There's an appetite.
I mean, I think they sell a lot of plugins already.
Yes, of course.
But
there's people like me who just don't bother. And I think there's a lot more people like me who just don't bother, because at the end of the day, I'm just not really interested in plugins unless they're kind of something that helps me with a production thing. I have so many units.
Right. Well,
I'm not
okay, but there's a lot of guitar players online. There's a lot of YouTube guitar players that have never owned a real amp.
I know,
or even there's a lot of guitar players that have only ever.
But do you think there's
used
just
plugins.
as many who are out here with pedals and amp simulators who are not buying who are not buying plugins?
Yeah, I mean, I think
so.
There's
That
more than
doubles
that.
the mark. Yeah,
But
I think the majority.
Right, but I'm just saying, like,
they're selling a lot. They got.
I feel like there's some people that it just never occurs to them that a plugin would be something that they would want or need.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so I think it's much more standard to like go to a Guitar Center and play what you can play, and then like that's what you buy, right?
Yes.
It's like these are the amps to choose from.
Right.
And you walk and you get home with your Fender Mustang and you're happy with it for a long time until you're like, oh wait, what's this other thing? I don't know. I don't know what ToneX, I don't know what their end game is, but I do know that these things are so cheap that there's going to be just millions of them.
Yes.
On everyone. There's going to be so many of them.
Yeah.
That it's going to be, yeah.
Well, if people are buying 4 at a time.
Right. Well, and I got to say, I've been making more stuff for ToneX lately, and I really kind of like it.
It's awesome.
And it's really kind of nice to be able to make stuff with ToneX and then just plug it right into Logic, and it's right there. And
it's right there.
And you get actually the best of both worlds, which is, you don't have to remember what you set it on, right? You just load the plugin, and then when you're done with that track, you move on. You don't have to remember what So it has a lot of nice things. I think ToneX is doing a lot of really good stuff right now. If they could get their training to take not quite so much time,
quicker, yeah.
And no one from ToneX is listening to this, but
no,
if they ever did, what would be really, really great is when the training is done, if like a very loud chime were to go off, it's like, your training is done. Because it just silently stops.
It does.
Yeah.
And then you could be totally immersed in something else.
Yes.
And then
you could have started the next one.
I could have been, and it already takes 25 minutes or whatever it is.
Yeah, and I wish they would let us do batch processing.
Batch processing would solve that too.
I think at the end of the day, these guys are not going anywhere. They're here forever, and they're going to have the largest ecosystem for whatever that's worth.
They're winning me over. ToneX is.
It's a simple product, and it's a simple offering to players.
Yeah.
It was, hey, you can have like all these amps, and you can switch around, and this can sound like your amp, and you can have different stuff for $399, and it was $299, $399, and it was beating people.
That. And such a killer deal.
And then all of a sudden it became $179, and the software's always been cheaper than that, but
it's still. I mean, it's by a long shot, and it always has been the cheapest way to get into Capture Tech, unless you want to run Neural Amp Modeler, which is not for the faint of heart.